tiri pakati pekugiza ndakadajuka toilet itogiza
onecho.
On a day-to-day basis in Africa and the world over, drug abuse has become prevalent amongst the youths. It's almost a lost war and a lost cause. In Zimbabwe, the capital city of Harare, the city that don't sleep, a new drug has taken the streets by storm. GUKA. It is also known as crystal meth. Crystal meth is causing a plague of addiction amongst the youths. So we took a tour to some of the high-density suburbs with the highest numbers of adolescents and other illicit drug users, and we asked if they knew what they were taking and the adverse effects of crystal meth. Crystal meth are rocks or crystals which we heat up in a flame in a glass tube or bowl. When the chemical reaction happens, we inhale it, and when it burns, we get enlightened. They turn it on using gas lighters, and after taking it, they don't sleep at all. GUKA is created in the lab. These scientists are the same people creating these drugs, same way they create diseases remedies.
When you say crystal meth, we basically say crystalline methylphenidate. So it's made from various chemicals. In certain places like South Africa, they make it from some chemical reactions with their fertilizers, ammonium nitrate.
I am a dealer, and I normally buy in bulk, in 10 grams quantities, and I sell quantities of a gram or sometimes half a gram, because people nowadays can't afford the usual quantities. People are now broke because of the COVID-19 lockdown, and supplies have become scarce. Since borders are shut, the demand for crystal shot up, and I get to make more because demand now outweighs supply, as compared to when GUKA had flooded the market.
I think maybe in the lockdown, those on the marketing, good quality because kuna mangu mafeki, kuna mangu watoto madanga mvura, kuna mangu watoto ma water base.
Apano kito kuno bedroom 10 years but kuna manje sina cha ngoro kana na ningi ndopereka siyana ne brongo kuna tisini mukwasa to ina kana 10 weze ne taza US weze because pana no tokarirowa so pana manyasa randa ane dzimba dziri mazita vanokwasa kunganisnika kudzoda mda chimbobata mapepa ubvoruwa kana sina amba chingorwa sini ngochingo minus kuna ndo advantage yatinayo weze pasini because kwasa tatu masini but una manje sini charakazoipira manje ka ofana uzoramba uchizviexpose because fanongana wakuzotsvagwa nevanhu vachoka mahombi vaziva.
I can't quantify how much one takes, but I can say, as long as one has money in their pockets, they are driven to take more and more.
I think we've moved even with cannabis. Marijuana, we are now growing it, and there are laws around using it. But no one, and not everyone, should use this substance because our reaction to the substance is different. So I often hear people saying, I use marijuana and I don't have problem. Person B uses marijuana and they do have problems because our bodies are different, so we react differently. So I would say not everyone reacts the same to the substance. So we need to have targeted approaches. Young people, for example, they are very vulnerable. So we should keep them away from any sort of substances. Their brains are still developing. And if we risk them using substances, their brains are going to grow abnormally, and they may not be able to learn as much and achieve in life as everyone else. In the brain, we have what we call receptors, where chemicals that we have in the body naturally go bind and cause an activity. So we've got dopamine receptors in the brain, and especially some region of the brain called the brainstem. And so the brain works like a computer. So there are connections between different parts of the brain. So there's what we call the brainstem, and there's what we call the cortex. In the cortex, there's a place called the nucleus accumbens. Now, the fibers that release dopamine, they come from the brainstem into the nucleus accumbens, which is part of the brain. Now, when they are released in the nucleus accumbens, it causes excitement. Now, however, there are different kinds of receptors in the dopamine receptors. So some are called D1, D2, but that's a bit complicated. So now it depends on which receptor dopamine is acting on. If it's acting on the what we call the reward pathway, the motivation, then it's good, it's fine. But unfortunately, it also go and act on what we call T2 receptors. These are the receptors that are, when they're excited, they change the whole perception of things. So people will hear voices, hear people talking when there's no one. They will see things that no one else is seeing. They behave odd.
Yeah, iri parakataka kurwa Christ here. Chadogeza kupinda toilet pedu. Tiri pakati pekugeza. Takona nyoka yasati yaboda. Handadi bakura akawanda pana padu patakatoberekerwa parapo. Ndadi bakura akawanda nditogeza ipo asati ambosakana nenyoka. Zvekuti dai tisina kuZimbabwe tisataka kurwa takatozwa kuti ndekuti akatotirovesa idiri akataka kudzidzisa nezvayo akazoti anoona kuona zvezvisiriizvo but akuita sei kuti usavhunduke.
After I take GUKA, I sometimes feel myself sinking into some realm where I start hearing gunshots or start seeing the police coming after me. That level of addiction causes one to lose their mind.
Kozita uyasangira vamwe vadaita badahouse vakapakurirwa zvimaspageti zvezve mudiro kuti vachitodzi vatodye. Ivo vanoti aitaka kufamba maspageti ari mudiro achifamba zvavo maspageti zvekuti vakatobva vatoregera kutobadya vaona izvezvo vaiti maspageti ari kufamba.
When I take GUKA, I stay awake for days. Look up there. Do you see that? Can you see what I'm saying? Confirm you see it too. I had been wondering why you haven't said anything about it. You see, these things are not good. These adolescents and youths are some of the country's creative minds going to waste. With the COVID-19 pandemic, which has crippled all economic activities, the economy has been on a standstill for more than a decade. With the country's high unemployment rate, most youths find themselves in substance abuse with little or no knowledge of the effects of the drugs, either short-term or long-term.
The individual who has been taking it for a short time, quite often what they get is excitement, the euphoria. Okay. And so they like the high that they feel, the people that have been taking it for a short term. But for long-termers, they are now taking it to treat what I was talking about, withdrawals. So if they don't take it, they feel sick. So once they take it, they feel better. So if they don't take it, they have hallucinations. And once they take it, they feel better. So those are what we call dependent individuals. Yet the ones who are taking it for excitement, they are really experimenting. They're really looking for the high.
I was born in a family of 5. 3 boys and 2 girls. The eldest in our family is a brother, and he is a drug addict. He has been hooked for the past 5 years, and he has become a burden to the family and the community. Sadly for him, he takes any kind of drug, from marijuana, cannabis, Bronclear, and GUKA MAKAFELA. He does not care what sort of a drug it is, as long as it gets him high. He has a wife and 2 children, but cannot look after them. He has since been fired from work for absenteeism and now spends his time with the drug dealer and other drug users. Our parents are burdened by his violent behavior. When he comes home after taking GUKA, he does not sleep and becomes violent with everyone. He has on many occasions tried to get violent with our parents. We are now living in fear because of these GUKA drug abusers. They become violent and end up robbing us to feed their addiction. It's sad. Most of them are very young people, and it's affecting us a lot. We have lost a number of friends and families. One committed suicide after taking crystal meth. The problem is that most of these youngsters who take drugs, they're getting into all sorts of things, but they don't have any source of income to feed their addiction. They end up stealing household goods from their parents. They may bring electronic appliances. Considering their age, it's almost impossible that they bought it by themselves, but they convince you until you buy. I once had a case where a young boy came and sold me goods, and later on the parents came to claim back the goods as they were sold without the consent of the parent. Relationships are breaking. These crystal meth users are getting into all sorts of things, including borrowing money and not returning it. Some go as far as trying to get smart with married women. They can do anything after they take crystal meth. We met up with John, who was once a GUKA addict, but eventually stopped. We conditioned ourselves that we do not sleep the day we wake up. I would not sleep for about 3 days. I then realized later that GUKA was not benefiting me in any way. So I stopped. And when I stopped taking GUKA, I realized a positive change in my life. And when I stopped taking GUKA, I realized a positive change in my life.
this whole GUKA thing, yo, it has messed up like a lot of people, bro. Like, I know a lot of dudes who were like hella cool before. Like, there were people that was actually like respected in the community and stuff like that. Until they started messing with that, and now they're like going crazy. Like, they're really going crazy. I know a couple of artists as well, like right here in the city that are really going like crazy. Like, I met this other artist, I'm not gonna say his name, and my dude was like hella tripping, and he was looking like he's super lost. And for somebody who's like a celebrity and who was on his level, like, it kind of really hurt me seeing that person in that position.
Many families have been broken apart. Child-headed families, the worst affected, with no love or guidance. We are advocating for an urgent review on the drug policy that seeks to criminalize drug users. Many stay hidden and never seek help because they may end up spending the rest of their lives behind bars. My dream is to start my company that produces leather products. After the COVID-19 lockdown, I want to ask my family to take me to a rehab center because these drugs are tormenting me. I hope I get a certified license so that I can legally sell my crystal meth without getting criminalized. It's my only way of survival. I am not educated. Even if I was a university graduate, there is no employment in the country. We are all sinking in abject poverty. My conscience does not allow me to rob or kill anyone. If only I can get a license to sell my crystal meth without the police harassing me.
One can go through it in different ways. Generally, good economies, wealth, development, education. These are things that prevent people from going into doing drugs. Also think about equity, equality, because you do have a country which is very rich, but which is not fair, where you find the poorest in that country and you find the richest. Those sort of societies create problems because many people who can't stay up there in wealth, they drift down into poverty. So it has to be equity, equality, fairness in the community besides a good economy. You want a good economy, but you also want fairness and equality. We need to have, if we do have populations that are using safe use of substances, we need to have to keep young people in school, in sports. The other interventions should be targeting at families because we know substance use is genetic, really. So if there's a family member who uses substances, there are high chances that another family member may use substances. So target those families that are at risk. And then, of course, in communities, things like violence in the community, they increase the risk of substance use because any sort of trauma will lead to what we call PTSD. And PTSD is highly associated with substance use. And then, of course, we need to fight poverty. Poverty leads to prostitution and to substance use. And so we need to fight. So there are many fronts that we can really approach this problem at. But we need to identify that we've got a problem. And as you were saying, it's a problem that's growing. And so we need to be very aware that we're dealing with a problem that's growing, and that's very difficult to tell. I would want to tell you that once someone becomes addicted, it's very difficult to get out of that.
Amadzangu siya imsabati asina kubata usati umbobate zvimwe zvinhu hazvibatwe.